Thank you for invitation and this initiative to become true. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor for me to present Bulgaria. I'm a medical doctor. My name is Dr. Georgi Todorov, and I'm a physician, one of many activists in Bulgaria who exposed this plan of pandemic. I gladly accept the invitation of my fellow citizens to participate, and I believe that we're going to make true successfully. But what I want to say is that I have to remind you the doctors who have participated very much, and I have to remind you that there is no regime holds in power without the help of medical doctor societies in the countries. Pinochet had them in his side and stood over 18 years. You shouldn't remember. We shouldn't forget. Many people have been reassured and believe that everything is behind us. It's undelusive, fake reception. I want to remind how everything has started. Until the late 1990s, WHO achieved successes. I said this because me, myself, participated in projects in Republic of Ghana many times for many years. My personal encounter with the organization convinced me that it is undergoing a transformation of turning from a health-focused entity into something else that does not prioritize public health care anymore. I have to tell you that our society, if we think deeply, is guided by definitions. And those who have the power to change these definitions, their meanings are the ones who actually govern it. The WHO has appropriated the right to change the definition of epidemic, vaccines, etc., but not in the name of science, rather to fulfill the orders given by sponsors. We shouldn't forget that 84% of total revenue exceeding $3.6 million come from top 10 top donors are 72%. Let's see what they change. They easily remove words enormous numbers of deaths from the definition, replace it with public health emergency international concerns. An extraordinary event is determined to constitute a public health risk to other states through international spread of disease and potentially requires coordinated international response. This slight change took the pandemic from the medical field and turned it into a political act. They tried to do so in 2009, declared pandemic as swine flu. The governments were pushed and squeezed to make extra budget expenses, later turned the expenses in vain, and the purchased medicines became trash. Failing then, the next attempt through volatile public health emergency of international concern declared in January 2010 turned to be COVID epidemic only 41 days later. This act as the biggest achievement of the purposes of WHO. And they untied the hands of governments to restrict us in many ways, wearing masks, mandatory contract restrictions, limitation of public places, lockdowns, etc. And the doctors, most of the doctors helped them and help. The beneficiaries of this change were vaccine manufacturers, government that gained more power over citizens, and the right to spend money in shadow environment to the benefit of entities with endless greed. So, changing the definitions, the same happened in the United States with the vaccines. And the words, the vaccines protects a person from the disease was vanished. This came after the fact clearly showed that substances declared as vaccines, never checked properly against COVID, do not actually protect people from getting sick. So the picture of coordination for changing of the definitions was painted completely. The temporary needed instruments were sharpened, and the results of usage are well known. The previous speakers gave detailed picture of the upcoming treaty, but foremost mentioned pandemic agreement finally aims to become a system for completely electronic control of people in all WHO members under the fragile guise of healthcare. The WHO recency decline, anticipation for new pandemics in advance. They are acting as predictors of last instance, when the disastrous level of the competence of their officers is obvious. Is it really need we to sign anything? I don't think so. For a better understanding, it should be emphasized once again that fear will always be the first choice for the WHO and its associated health authorities in different countries, because it is the only way to ensure that at least the majority of citizens will play along. It is time for countries to leave this organization, whose true aim is to trample of our human rights and freedoms. We in Bulgaria did the first step towards our exit from WHO. Bulgaria is the only country in the world where an organization called Bulgarian Alliance for Decent Life organized official nationwide signature action, support the exit of Republic of Bulgaria from WHO and for withdrawal from all agreements. We took over 30,000 signatures for only 16 working days and officially led Bulgarian National Assembly to undertake political action as the law says. Discussion and mandatory vote. Police officers and Bulgarian prosecutors were not eager to work for repression in Bulgaria from the first day of the pandemic, or rather supported silently and sometimes publicly us in their majority. This actually turned Bulgaria to be the island of freedom and peaceful resistance. We minimized the fate of mainstream media. The humiliation from the official government forces was minimal or none. We made them useless for the goals of WHO, especially the Ministry of Health. We humiliated them, put them in humiliation in front of society, and their sponsors thus led to the deterioration of the reputation of WHO, European Medical Agency, because we exposed the results of the vaccines publicly, and unfortunately, the European Commission, because of the obvious but even disastrous results. I have to tell you that without freedom, there is no health. And this is my first word, become something like narrative in Bulgaria. Our New Citizens initiative should mark the beginning of the end of WHO and, similar to them, organizations with their attempts to regulate and rule our lives. And finally, achieve views of truth, trust and freedom in the society. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much. I would